fans, and welcome to another exciting edition of Cammy's Comic Corner, Indie Comics episode, Volume 8. I swear to God, these episodes have been multiplying like rabbits. I'm your host, as always, Cammy. And now, let's get on to the topic for the episode. From Alterna Comics, we have The Chair, written by Peter Simeti and art by Kevin Christensen and Peter Simeti. So, The Chair is an original graphic novel. It is in black and white. It's 136 pages, and basically the story is Richard Sullivan is an inmate on death row, and he has been for the past 10 years. The crime he supposedly committed was the slaughter of 12 children at a kindergarten. Now that seems a little extreme, and to maybe looking at all the evidence that he presents us, doesn't seem like he was the guy who did it. So when you hear like, I didn't do it, it wasn't me, it was the one-armed man, for his case it seems to be the truth. It seems that he's a decent guy, he has a loving family, or had a loving family, he had the best job in the world, but after having a little spat with his boss, the cops make him the prime suspect because his boss's kid was one of the ones that were murdered. And so now, after a couple of appeals and all 6 years on the, trying to plead his case of innocent, it's days away from his death date, as it were. And so we're looking at all the other inmates at this prison. They're a bunch of bastards. You got rapists, pedophiles who rape the children. All these monstrosities. It's like going through that scene, that hallway in Silence of the Lambs, where you have the worst of the worst all gathered together. They only get to see each other 15 minutes a week when they're allowed to wander around and talk to each other and stretch their legs. But in the meantime, they're getting food served to them that's, piss and shit and spit in it. As if the spit's bad. Like, oh, you got the piss and the shit, and then you got spit. No, it's just bad stuff. And Richard Sullivan, he's having the worst time trying to, deal with the guards, or deal with this psychotic warden who starts to experiment and start killing off inmates. And so he's seeing some guys that he has bonded with dying in most gruesome deaths and ways. And so when he finally retaliates, he gets a little tortured himself. He gets on the stretcher, and they're stretching his limbs out of his sockets. He has to hit it back in, and that's painful enough as it is. But now he's the only prisoner left in this prison, and he's next, as it were. Everyone's taunting him, and then we slowly start to realize that this guy maybe isn't all that great as we're led to believe. He might forget that he was taking medications. He's starting to think clearly now and going into his psychotic episodes because he's not eating the food because people are pissing and shitting in it, and so he can't get his medication, so now he's starting to trip, and he's not stable. So yes, he has been a rapist, he's been a killer, and lo and behold, his brother is the warden, the so-called psychotic warden, and so it pains him to no end to see his brother like this, because he's the one, let alone sentencing him to death to electric chair. So now he gets to be the one to pull the lever. Well, he tells the guards that, listen, it's my own brother. It's going to go through. I'm not going to be in the room when this happens, though. And so eventually they take him to the chair, sit him down, try to read him his last rites. He's having none of it. He gets loose after, pleading and whatnot. It's kind of an act. Goes for a gun, starts shooting his way out. And then it's just a showdown between his brother and himself, the last two standing. And so he gets his brother in the chair, straps him down, and says, this bullet isn't for you, it's for me. And as he blows his own brains out, he falls onto the lever, electrocuting his brother, killing them both. So, lo and behold, it's not a happy ending, okay? So if you like the grisly, gruesome scene of, prison, if you're a fan of Oz, the television show, or The Wire, and if you like gorgeous art, because let me tell you a little bit about the art. It's all in black and white, but it's just the charcoal's texture in this book that really adds that gritty and grim feeling to it, as if you were in prison. I actually would prefer not seeing it in color anytime if they plan on reprinting it or whatnot. But just the charcoal alone gives it that nice tone. So bravo, it's from Alterna Comics, like I said before, and they actually have another book coming out in August, which I can't wait to review. It's called Hello, Do You Work Here? And it's a collection of all the best stories, work-related incidents, and if you know me, I love anthology, so I'll definitely be checking that out in August. But in the meantime, go pick up The Chair. If you want any more information on Peter Simeti or Kevin Christensen or The Chair, you can go to www.alternacomics.com. So that does it this week, it seems like, or day, I guess, because it's that frequent, for Cammy's Comic Corner Indie Comics Episode Volume 8. If you want more Cammy's Comic Corner goodness to see past episodes of the Indie series, head on over to www.cammyscomiccorner.com. From there you can also check out the books of the month, go chat on the forums, go, I don't know, listen to Geeky Talkie, the audio version of the podcast, also available on iTunes, and leave a review. Also, if you like any of the kick-ass t-shirts that you see me wearing, the ArgueCast, another audio podcast I'm a part of, head on over to www.deadlinegraphics.net and send Kelly an email. He does custom-made t-shirts, any superhero t-shirts that you might want. He has whatever you want right there available. There's only one name that I trust when it comes to comic book t-shirts. That's Kelly at deadlinegraphics.net. And also a big shout out to Rising Sun Creations at rsc-online.com. They specialize in the best of U.S. comic books, manga, and collectible toys imported straight from Japan, all located in Mission Valley if you're in the San Diego area, or on their online store at rsc-online.com. They got, mainstream and indies, so they'll take care of you as well. So that does it this week. If you are an independent comic creator and you want your shit pimped, send me an email at camyscomiccorner@gmail.com. Let's talk, PDF fine, or if you want to mail me a physical copy, I got all bases covered. So until then, this has been Cammy's Comic Corner, Indie Comics Episode Volume 8. I've been your host, Cammy. Now, I'm going to just turn myself in before they figured out what I did to the corpse of, well, I can't really say at this point. Who told you?